Perfect. Thank you, Alex. So yeah, great. I hope everyone can see the screen okay. And if any issues, just comment into the chat and we can take care of it. But as I get started, let me just make sure this all works. Yeah, perfect. So a quick reminder to myself to say that to record this meeting, but I see that's happening. So that's great. That's the first box ticked. And yeah, just a quick overview that, we will share the recording of this session and also the slides as a follow-up to all of you. So don't worry about screenshots or having to take crazy notes. This really is meant to be a very value-add session where you can listen and kind of enjoy your coffee or your lunch or whatever time of day it is for you. And then also, yeah, Alex already mentioned any questions, pop them into the chat. I'll aim to finish a little bit early so we have time to address them, but we will take them all down. And if needed, I'll do a follow-up as part of the email that will go out to you with the recording. So yeah, I guess we have our agenda for today. And just to tell you a little bit quickly about myself, as Alex introduced me already, my name is Lida. I'm the team lead for HubSpot for the CEE region, and I'm also a senior account executive. I've quite a mixed experience. So prior to HubSpot, I worked in management consulting. I've set up my own businesses and I've delivered kind of marketing and web development consulting for small businesses. In HubSpot, I'm now 3 years. And again, I've gathered a lot of mixed experience here, which is great. I love it. I started as a BDR. Some of you might be familiar with the BDR, SDR role, so kind of a lot of cold calling and booking meetings. And then I progressed into the account executive role, but I've worked 3 different markets to date. So I've worked the UK and Irish market, the Nordics region, and now Central Eastern Europe. So you have today's agenda. You would have seen it on the landing page that you used to sign up. So again, I won't repeat through that, but really, I want to go through looking at some general trends as well as zoning in on the region itself and what, I'm hearing across my team as some of the trends and behavioral insights that we're collecting, speaking with companies every day. And then what I'll do is also share some proposed solutions. Of course, I'm going to mention HubSpot. But I want to make this a really practical session and give you practical ideas to take away, even if that means putting it into your own tech stack or creating that strategy with your own systems. For me, today's objective is really, to reiterate this point that the way people buy has really changed. And the problem is that we continue doing nothing about it or following outdated methods. So I want you to walk away with that understanding of what CRM powered inbound marketing is and why it's going to make a difference to your marketing strategy, as well as your business overall. I'm sure we have people, from all different teams on the call today, and this really does apply to any front-facing team, as well as a business owner, CEO, director role. If we kick off here, really, I love this quote for the simple reason that I think it applies to anything in life. Change really is the only constant. In business, we are always going through a lot of change. It's inevitable. We can try and plan for some of it, but as COVID, I think, has shown us this past 18 months or 2 years nearly, there's also a lot that we can't plan for. And as we're looking at this area today, there's this constant adaptation. I think this really is a tagline for marketing, especially. There's a constant adaptation happening with market behaviors, consumer trends, changes in technology, seasonality. Change is really constant. But I feel that what a lot of businesses are missing is that change is also a huge opportunity. And that's what I hope to kind of impart on you today. So before we go into, I guess, the current trends, I want to start with this idea of, moving from outbound to inbound. I don't think this really is a new concept. HubSpot started this as a company back in 2005. And at the time, it was a huge idea that we want to move away from this, ruthless attitude where, we only focus on the bottom line and we look at a very kind of interruptive style. Whereas, inbound, when the idea came to light in 2005, and maybe a little bit earlier even, our founders, specifically Brian and Dharmesh, had noticed a shift back then, that people, the way people buy, the way they shop, consumers weren't really tolerating this interruptive bid for their attention. They'd actually gotten really good at ignoring it. And when this all kicked off, there was this huge shift that, we wanted to become more relevant, more consumer centric, and help people make decisions rather than interrupt their day. And of course, today the inbound movement continues to empower businesses, but I think marketers and businesses as well are again at an inflection point. Back in 2004, it was this huge shift, but now we are again seeing a movement in, again, I guess, just taking inbound to the next level. So if we look at some of the current trends, and I think some of this is probably not new, and some of this is shifting a little bit more to the top of the pile than maybe previously, but the things to have a look at that are interesting, content is everywhere. And I think in some respects, COVID has made this worse because more people have moved online. But I think even if you think about your own behavior, we have more noise than ever before, and we've gotten really good at zoning out or tuning out. Marketing tools are widely available. You can find, I think today on the market, there's over 12,000 vendors across CRM, sales, marketing, service, whatever, ERP systems, and so on. So there's a tool for everything. But also marketers are competing not only with competitors and trying to, stand out against the crowd, but also these big tech companies like Google, Facebook, and so on, who, are also wanting and asking people to spend more and more time on their platforms rather than leaving and actually visiting individual business sites. And then finally, on top of all of this, customers also want privacy. And they want personalization in the type of content that they see. And I think this has really shifted a little bit, because personalization before could be done quite easily just by creating some segmented lists and greeting customers by name when you sent an email or reached out to them. Today, customer expectations for websites are through the roof. It's not just about knowing your name, it's being able to surface previous interactions you've had with a company and giving content that's really relevant to that person. So we are at this point where we need to step it up a little bit more. And then, of course, COVID has been a huge catalyst for more and more businesses to move online, but also to change their business strategy, their go-to-market strategy. And this, choice and noise effect is really being compounded. And unfortunately, it also means people are tuning out more and more. I think in general, though, it's no secret that market conditions have been difficult to predict across all industries recently. Some have been more affected than others, and some have been affected in a really positive way where they've gotten more business than ever before. But it's really critical to reduce future risk by leveraging technology that can help you adapt for things when this comes around again or when something like this happens. As I said, what many people miss when it comes to change, change being the only constant, change is also a huge opportunity. And for me, right now is that time. Right now, you have one of the only chances to change the way you do business. It's a one in a career opportunity chance, really, because COVID, we haven't seen something like that before. And the behavior trends and shifts that are happening right now, you have a huge opportunity to capitalize on that. And in some respects, you also have no choice because buyers are just looking for something different. But like I'll keep repeating, what I'm seeing right now is that a lot of businesses are missing this opportunity, focusing too much on survival rather than how best to thrive from this change. But all in all of these shifts, all of this behavior to date has kind of landed us on two problems. So across the board, globally, we're seeing right now that customers are tuning out and buyers are looking for something different. And this really means that the cost of acquisition is going up, and also marketers are struggling to make an impact. In terms of CE, so let's just zone in a little bit on what are some of the trends to the region specifically. So obviously I spend my days speaking to businesses of all different sizes, all different industries, and so does my team here at HubSpot. And We have over 120,000 customers globally at this point. So we hear quite a lot of stories and we hear a lot of business experiences, but specific to the market, when asked to kind of, identify what technologies help business meet priorities, we're still seeing, data management systems come up as number one. And really, companies are aware that the right IT infrastructure helps organizations to be effective. But what we're hearing time and time again is that a lot of organizations are citing that they're still doing things manually or inefficiently, where they're trying to connect different systems or they don't have a system at all. Companies recognize that cloud-based software is the agile and secure kind of solution or the way forward, but we're still meeting a lot of companies using either bespoke, custom-built systems or not using anything at all, or trying to combine multiple cloud-based systems together, and it's not working out in a very efficient way. And again, I'm sure all of you would agree that organizations that put data at the center of their operations and management decisions can make better decisions and better balance the different processes in the business. But still, many organizations are failing to do this, or there's still this disconnect between IT and your tech stack and its ability to actually support the broader business and strategic goals. So this disconnect is still here. And while there are some shifts happening, we're seeing, eyes are opening to it. This is kind of the state of play of what we're meeting daily at the moment. What I will say is that, of course, there's unicorns. There's some amazing companies in this space that are thinking differently, and globally in general, any account executive would agree that the companies that are making the biggest impact, the disruptive companies, are winning on customer experience. So you'll note that they're putting the customer first. And of course, it's no secret that a great customer experience requires customer data and great customer data. So when I talk to companies, I often hear that the top business priority is cost reduction or data security or process efficiency. The disruptive companies are thinking different. Yes, they're looking at creating a solid tech stack that will help them do all of those things, but they're thinking about it from the lens of the customer and what can we do to better serve our customers. So when we look at this, I guess to summarize, technical debt is hampering digital growth. Of course, if you're looking to do digital transformation, to innovate, delivering return on investment on this is not easily achieved if you don't have a tech stack to support. And business managers are coming under increasing pressure to show this. So it's really important that you look to a platform which is critical for delivering digital transformation at scale. And I think not only that, but organizations in CEE, like we said already, sometimes struggle to leverage the power of data being collected. So if nothing else, it does require an enterprise-wide effort. It's not a case of just one team. It's really looking at how can we create a tech stack to support the whole business or feed into the rest of the business at the very least. So what's the solution in this case? So like I mentioned, disruptive companies are winning on customer experience, but what does that really mean? How are they doing that? As a start, there's a couple of core concepts that are very important to underline, and later on we will get to a practical example as well. The key thing, which inbound marketing and an inbound approach has kicked off over the last couple of years, and it's just growing more and more, is that relevance is proven. And really, just as it was back when it was a disruptive concept, the solution is still about being relevant and being as relevant as possible for our prospective buyer and for our customers. A study from Gartner showed that consumers really want information that will help them make better decisions, save on costs. They want information, but only as long as it's relevant to them. So what does that really break into? Well, for me, the way I kind of try and think about it is really these three core areas. So as a start, if we start with relevance and build on it, we can move through these pieces of the buyer process is changing, knowledge is power, and teams win. So if we look at the buyer process, today's selling environment is dramatically different to what it was even just 2 years ago. Buyers expect something different. They don't want to be pushed, they want to be helped. And sellers, as well as marketers and businesses, need to shift this experience. So from an intuition-based selling approach to an insights-driven approach. So think about how you would buy something. You don't, if you were, I don't know, going out to buy a new drill or a lawnmower. I'm doing a lot of gardening at the moment, so those things are kind of top of mind. So think about if you were going to make that purchase. You don't want to have someone jump out behind a door and then just assault you with a sales pitch. You want someone to understand that you have a need, that you want to do your own research. You want to talk to someone you perceive as a subject matter expert. You want to be advised and guided on the best decision, and then you make an informed decision. That's what people want, but it's not what people are getting. Or a lot of the time, it's not what people are getting. And really, we call, what we need to understand from a marketing perspective is who is our ideal buyer, where do they hang out, and how do we get to them? And these three things are actually really easy. That's the easy part. As we walk down the buyer-focused funnel, hanging out, what social platform you can target these people with paid ads as well as organic, that's the easy piece. But technology is giving us this direct access, but how do we actually then get into the next phase? And I like to call this as, engaging with the prospective buyer in a meaningful way, which is a real issue, and having something that will intrigue them to compel them, not attack them, but compel them to actually lean into you and ask, this is really interesting, tell me more. I want to know more. And then you're in the sales process. Then you've actually started the conversation and you have an interested buyer, and you can continue that piece. To support all of that, of course, knowledge is power. Buyers want to be helped, not pushed, and a great customer experience relies on great customer data. The idea that a business would craft a better customer experience is about personalizing the buyer's journey. So when I go to buy a drill, I might already have a drill I used before, and I know the type or the brand that I want, and then that's a very easy decision for me. But if I'm a first-time gardener and I'm only just starting to, fix my garden furniture or something like that, that's a whole different conversation. It's a totally different approach. I have no idea what I'm looking for. So professional marketers are using the whole suite of data points that they collect across and about a lead to then personalize this experience and better communicate with prospects, effectively removing the guesswork. It all sounds easy, right? And then the other piece, of course, just to mention before we get into the solution and how we can actively look at this, today's selling environment is really about teams. Teams are winning when it comes to closing the sale and managing the customer experience at that kind of center and post-sale support piece. But also from a marketing perspective, marketing and sales alignment has long been a conversation that's been, that I've been having, and I'm sure a lot of my colleagues have been having. But if you aren't taking a team mentality this year or this last 12 months, you are going to lose. Even, for example, we use a platform called Gong to analyze calls. Gong actually has some great metrics if you even go onto their blog and have a look at some of the blog posts they put out. But as one example, Gong is reporting that if you, as a salesperson, if you have one extra person on a call to support you during a conversation, it results in a lift of 248% more likelihood of closing a deal, just by having an extra support. So maybe a solution engineer or a manager or something join the call with you. That's huge. That's a huge data point. And this company is big, so it's analyzing thousands and thousands of calls to pull that metric. But again, it goes across each team. How do we align the different teams, which then creates a more insightful data set for us to leverage with our customer experience? So why is it so difficult? We want to draw buyers into a business conversation. We want to fend off competitors. We want to get to the deal. We want to turn a one-off customer into a repeat customer. and we want to turn a repeat customer into a promoter of our business to refer new people to us. It sounds so simple, so why is it so difficult? Well, we know we need to collect the right data and leverage it across every aspect of marketing. But that already creates some problems because you see at the bottom here, the typical process that a lead would follow as they come to your business. They move through various touch points with your business, which could happen the same day or across a period of months or even years. But as they move through this piece, there's often a lot of systems and a lot of teams involved. So you might have different systems which stores data in different places. So marketers might typically have a marketing automation platform. Sometimes they also have a CRM, but often that sits with the sales team. Then you have all these other systems like Google Analytics, SEMrush, heat maps, your CMS platform, and data is spread across them and it's not shown in the same way. So you're struggling to kind of connect that full picture. You might have to reach out to your operations team, which can already be very overwhelmed. And you're kind of just joining the queue to get access to that data or to get the reports that you need. And overall, it's just not a smooth process and it creates a lot of friction. With so much data spread out, it can often be hard to scale when it comes to personalization. And also, you might only have a certain amount of personalization tokens that you can use. You might also struggle to connect the data points to actually then leverage that in a campaign of some sort. And what we do capture is sometimes not enough to provide a personalized experience. Again, if it's just an email address or just an entry point into your system, a form, it might not be enough to continue a relationship with a lead. And then, of course, it can be really hard to manage communication preferences across all these platforms because we want to also respect privacy in a scalable way without having to bring in the operations team or other people to cross-check all of this. So when data is scattered, it becomes impossible to provide a relevant and engaging customer experience. And just to give you an example, I mentioned it already, there's over 12,000 vendors on the market today within CRM, sales, marketing, customer service, VoIP providers, ERP systems, and so on. Some of these vendors can help you solve for one problem. Others might cover a couple of elements and do those things really well, but they might not solve for the entire experience. So how do you manage that end to end really becomes a case of connecting or trying to connect different systems. We typically see two options. Either as a company grows, they just add a system that they need and eventually they end up with this kind of cobbled solution, or they might look to a larger vendor like a larger CRM platform that promises to deliver on all of the aspects, but actually that vendor has built their system by acquisition and acquiring smaller companies. So ultimately you end up with the same kind of mess, but it's just behind one brand. So, in terms of what is, I guess the obvious next question is, what is a CRM powered inbound marketing platform? Well, really, it's about taking this process and putting it into a streamlined single system, single source of truth that allows you to create that customer experience that really leverages every data point that you possibly could want to use. So putting this whole process that's at the bottom of the screen here into a streamlined approach, again, sounds easy. Typically, like I said, companies will have a suite of tools and often they're trying to consolidate the data, which is very hard. Whereas a CRM powered marketing tool, the idea behind this concept is that we're bringing the data out from the silos and putting it into one single system. And we actually believe that marketers should be the owner of the CRM. When you have your CRM data living inside your marketing automation system, you won't face the issue of having data siloed or relying on other teams to give you information. You have that unified view. So when it comes to kind of looking at HubSpot, but also in terms of conversations, we truly believe that it all should be connected as one. So to mention HubSpot very briefly, it's built different from other systems. It is a CRM platform, but it means that our tools are built on top of our CRM. It's the only marketing automation platform that is built on top of a CRM, and all data is then sitting in one place. So because Marketing Hub is part of the CRM, marketers then keep the data at the center of everything that they do. So when you handcraft from the ground up, our customers get a product that helps them to improve the buyer experience with a single source of truth in terms of the customer information that they have or the prospect information. It speeds up team efficiency because it has a one intuitive user experience for all teams. It reduces the total cost of ownership because you avoid the cost of moving between systems and the potential time lost. And you get some huge benefits, which I'll just roll through very quickly. So instead of this unified single view of all your customers, or instead of this limited view, you get a unified view where you have a single view of all of your customer data, all your behavior touch points that you can confidently leverage across all of your marketing instead of relying on different systems. We know that effective segmentation goes directly into solving the personalization problem. The more granular and segmented that we can be, the better the return on investment for a campaign. The alternative, and we've probably all done this before, it's about pulling lists from different systems, running campaigns from those lists. But if you're using different systems, you can also have a lot of gaps in terms of losing key insights, but also potentially not having the most up-to-date information and maybe even emailing a person who is now a customer with an offer that doesn't speak to them at all or almost irritates them a bit. Being able to use data across all content and all assets when it comes to marketing and what marketing is creating and distributing makes it much easier to set an email campaign or a marketing campaign when we know the context and the history of the consumer behavior. So we can send useful information that helps people with their journey instead of this old approach of just spraying out a newsletter and hoping that something sticks, when actually 9 out of 10 times these kind of campaigns totally miss the mark. And automation, I guess from a marketing perspective, it's one of the main tools in our toolbox as marketers. It's life-changing in terms of managing your work in a scalable way. It helps you to engage with a lot of customers at once, but automation is also only as powerful as the data that we are powering it with. So if you're triggering based off static lists or different systems, it can mean your automation is outdated. Whereas if you power with real-time data and behavioral insights, it makes this automation a lot more effective and you can keep up with where your customer is and what stage of their buying journey they're on. And then finally, you've got the reporting insights feeding all of this. So you have live data coming back on all of the activity that you're doing, updating in real time. What I often hear is directors, managers having to pull static reports, export and view them in Excel. And this means that, again, the report is just a snapshot in time. It's not agile and it's not creating a personalized experience, but it's also making it a bit of a headache internally. And of course, data privacy, it's much easier to manage in one system that you can set up in a scalable manner rather than jumping between all of this. So when we think of an inbound or of a CRM powered marketing platform, we think of it as a continuous loop of insights, constantly powering and monitoring the marketing channels so that you can see which channels are most effective, which campaigns should we target with, what automation is set up, what are the CMS preferences, which landing pages that are the most effective. And the performance then goes directly into our reporting, giving us great insight that we can build on. So what does this look like in practice? Because obviously this is all great insight. It's great ideas. Maybe some of you are taking down some good notes, but to give you a practical insight into what does a CRM powered marketing approach look like in action? Because again, disruptive companies are winning on customer experience. The secret to this is customer data, and a clean, connected, and well-curated database is key then. So in terms of ensuring that customers feel heard and valued throughout their customer journey, we want to create a very effective process that really tries to personalize every single step. So how does this look? So it starts typically, and again, there's no right or wrong here. I'm just taking you through a typical example of how you might think about all of this and how you might apply it either into your own systems or just into your own strategy and strategic thinking. So obviously it starts with mapping out who is your ideal buyer. And typically speaking, a marketer should look at different data and different buckets of data. So you might have website analytics in terms of what pages somebody visited, the number of sessions they've had with your website, the time they spent on your website or a certain page. You then have your demographic data, which is probably the easiest to get. So if someone has filled in a form, and you might know, their job title, their function, their location, and so on, their email address, their contact details. Then you have, behavioral insights. So maybe topics they've been interested in, depending on marketing emails they've received and opened, or some downloads they've done on your website, maybe webinar attendance history, all of that kind of behavior-based insights. And then finally, we have company data. So, where does this person work? I suppose this is more applicable to B2B. Where does this person work? What industry, company size? What's the annual revenue? And for each data entry, we then correlate all of this to the conversions that we're interested in. So what's interesting to us, what's important to us to know as a business, what creates an ideal persona, and we then assign scores to this data to create basically persona scoring, or lead scoring is another way of putting it. So as you can see, this is in HubSpot, this is what lead scoring looks like, but it's the same concept if you have this already, or if you even start to think about it on paper. Using lead scoring to create groups based off behavioral, company, website, demographic data points. So for example, here, if somebody, you can have positive and negative attributes. In our case, inside of HubSpot, when you set this up, it will automatically then sync and update when somebody meets a certain criteria or no longer meets. So maybe a webinar registration, we see that as someone is interested in speaking to us, so we give them a score of 13. But if they register for 2 webinars, that really shows intent, so we give that a score of 16 points. And then same thing from a company size. So maybe if a company size is 200 to 500, that's a score of 4. Maybe if a company size is 500 to 1,000, that's our ideal kind of magic number. So we assign a bigger score there. And so when the lead engages with us, so as we continue to nurture them, send out, marketing emails as they revisit the website, this lead score will automatically update. And at a certain point, it might even notify or put into a certain list that this is a good fit lead or a person of interest. We can do the same with companies. So if you work from an account-based marketing approach, same idea. It's leveraging automation to basically create company profiles and put companies into different buckets. So for example, we can use things like their location, the annual revenue, the size of the company, and then depending on whether, which one the company falls into, we put it into, bucket 1, bucket 2, or bucket 3. And again, once I set this flow up based on what's important to me and my business, in this case, this automation will run automatically and organize my data behind the scenes, so I don't have to do anything. And ultimately, what we end up from these 2 approaches, or even just looking at one of them, again, depends on how you work, B2B, B2C, and how you want to profile. But whichever option, or if you use both, we're really looking to end up with different groups. And the different groups will be then we will understand that they're at different stages of their buyer's journey. So some might be just in a, problem identified, but we're not quite sure of a solution, or someone else might actually be interested in making a purchase. These people should get very different communication from you. So for example, persona A here wants valuable content and they require engagement. They're not ready to make a purchase. They need education. They're interested in digital marketing. This is just a hypothetical example. They're aware of their problem, but they're not quite sure what the solution is yet. So the core focus is really engaging with them, building a strong community, and sending valuable content. Whereas persona B, based on the criteria that we set and when that person meets that criteria, for us, persona B is actually interested in buying a course or making a purchase. They are solution aware. They know what the problem is, but they also know what they need to fix it. So this becomes much more of a sales conversation now. It's a one-to-one communication. It's a person-product fit. We're trying to actually move them through to that final stage. So, we take this and we move through that. Again, at maybe persona B, we automatically pass to sales, or you might have some marketing nurturing happening before that point. It completely depends, but I hope I'm giving you the right idea in terms of how we're trying to group and then tailor how we communicate. So for example, then if we break this out into the type of ads we might run to these people. So we have our persona A and persona B. To give you two examples, then you can see you might create targeted ads and provide slightly different call to actions depending on the stage the person is in. So I've just pulled two random companies, but to give you an example here, so with the book Bub, you can see here that they're not asking you to make a purchase. So the block that's in yellow, here it's offering you to take a quick quiz that will provide you with immediate value on book recommendations. But what this company is doing very cleverly is they're asking you to take a quiz, which typically speaking, people are always really interested in taking a quiz, but they're redirecting you then onto their platform where they can track your behavior and how whether you complete the quiz, what your results are, and they'll capture your details, no doubt. They'll ask for an email to send you the results. And they can then personalize reading recommendations and also personalize how they communicate with you to remind you to buy a book. And in that case, they've captured you onto their platform. So you're making the purchase with them down the line when it becomes relevant, not immediate and not kind of leaving you to either remember them and come back, which is probably unlikely given that, we have these massive, if me personally, I go to Audible a lot on Amazon. So we have these massive platforms where people naturally go, but this actually directs me to the company platform and then helps the marketer collect information so they can personalize and continue to reach out. Also leaving the marketer in control of how the nurture happens. So it's not leaving the buyer in control to remember your business and come back to you. And then we have care.com on the far right, where this is more kind of the solution has been identified. Somebody needs a babysitter. And in this case, the company is flagging that they can offer this. They're demonstrating their value proposition, and there's a testimonial that kind of adds to the sense of trust that's really important between parents searching for babysitters. But really, this is about a sign up in this case. It's asking you to create your profile and ideally go into a booking straight away. So there's no nurture piece here. I'm not helping a parent solve their problem of needing someone to mind their kids. In this case, the parent is aware what they need. It's about me providing the information at the right time as a platform or a solution to them. And from there, like I said, it's about personalizing their journey. So the biggest tool in our toolbox as marketers is the automation piece. So why not do it automatically and have it run based on behavior then in the background? So you'll create different journeys for each persona. The ones that need more nurturing, you'll focus on more information being provided and sharing valuable content that might be relevant to the type, in the case of the book brand, for example, sharing recommendations based on the quiz results. In the case of maybe a marketing course, sharing information based on a download the person did on your website. Maybe they downloaded a booklet about building a marketing content strategy. So you'll share more information on that topic before asking for a sales meeting. Whereas in the case of the persona B, it might be a case of actually trying to get a sale on the platform. So once somebody signs up to the platform, you're more so moving them through an onboarding flow to get them using the platform and ultimately make a booking. So it's not about education. It's more, well, it's not about educating them on the solution. It's more about moving them through to a purchase. I hope that has made some sense on how we can put this all together into kind of a practical example. Like I said, obviously I work with HubSpot. So for me, the easiest examples to give you is kind of taking screenshots of our platform, but the idea and the concepts are all the same. You can take this and apply it into your own tech stack, or even, even using a piece of paper and pen and having a marketing meeting to break out your persona groups. In terms of HubSpot, like I mentioned, to kind of round out, and then we have some time for questions if there has been any. We, like I said, we're a big brand at this point. We've been around since 2005, and we've developed into, a a recognized and an award-winning CRM platform. We have over 120,000 customers globally now. Some of them are listed here as some of the brands we work with. I'll share the slides. I'm not going to go into a big pitch about how great the company is, so you can read this in your own time. But I think the interesting piece is that our growth to date has been kind of record breaking. We average 30 to 40 plus growth year on year. We've hit the 1 billion annual recurring revenue mark, and we're pretty much established globally at this point in over 120 countries. We have offices in various locations. We've just announced a couple of new ones. I think we're opening in the UK and Canada, and I think there's a couple of more coming. And yeah, I think in terms of, like I mentioned, we are a trusted name in the industry. I can obviously talk about how great we are, but we also have some independent people that recognize us too. So it's great. And I think like the core of what I've delivered to you today and the core of what HubSpot tries to build when it comes to the platform and the solutions and the software that we provide, it's really about, our mission is to help companies grow. And to do that, we recognize that a solution to that needs to be agile and needs to help a business change rapidly and to thrive when hit with change. And that the tech stack or the solution that you have helps you to support you with that and not hinder you. So in terms of summary, just to round out, attention is scarce. So really it's about understanding what your ideal buyer is interested in, where in the buyer's journey they are, and how we can then communicate with them effectively, personalizing every step. Disruptive companies are winning on customer experience, which is really driven by a customer-centric tech stack, which is able to then create that personalization. Change is the only constant. So if you're going to build an agile tech stack, and I think Q4 is normally that time, that optimal time to do so, really think about how to make your tech stack more agile. Where can you save on time being wasted, jumping between systems, and where can you centralize the data so that it helps you grow your business and grow it at scale? And then, yeah, teams win. So your tech stack should connect teams and support the whole business, not ideally, or at least be able to connect in with the other teams and not just focus on one area specifically. If you are interested to learn more, I'll leave the screen up just as we go through some of the questions here. But if you are interested to learn more, this is the email address to send a quick email to, and I'd be more than happy to jump onto a discovery call. If you are looking to assess HubSpot, or if you have any, even if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or send me an email, or send an email to this this address, and Tatiana or Alex will share it with me and I can help answer some questions. But if you are interested to kind of explore the solution a bit more, same thing, get in touch and we can arrange either a discovery call with myself or with a member of my team. So I see a question popping up here. So what's the minimum number of, oh, sorry, Alex, did I disrupt you?
Yeah. It's okay. If you can answer, please answer on the chat, yeah.
Perfect. So, and now a poll has popped up. Here, I'll move it across. There we go. So, yeah, while I'm answering the question, a poll should have popped up in front of you, just asking for some feedback. So if you can complete that, that would be great. So what is the minimum number of people that should be in the segment? So HubSpot could send to Google ads or Facebook ads, to serve ads. Yeah, so there is a minimum, I believe it is 300 people, the minimum audience, and does HubSpot. It does, so HubSpot does integrate with LinkedIn. There is a minimum, I will follow up to get you the exact number, but I think it's under 1,000 people. It's matching what Facebook asks for example, or what Google would ask for. We would follow their standards because we sync into, basically, we connect into their platforms. But I'll confirm that and make sure that's sent in the follow-up. And we could have something like 10 to 30 people weekly for some landing pages. Is it possible to automate the experience of such number of people? Yeah, 100%. As an example, with HubSpot, we use our own platform on HubSpot. So I work inside of the tool every day, and our marketing team, our sales team, our whole office is on the platform. So we would, in terms of leads, we get hundreds of thousands every day. I think our database is in the millions at this point. and everything is personalized. So absolutely, there's no limit in terms of that amount of people. As long as you set up the automation in the background, it will sync automatically and run automatically. We have customers with contact databases that are in the millions, and it manages absolutely fine. So yeah, absolutely no worries on that. Is there any other questions? I know there's a...
Maybe someone have another questions. You have a possibility to ask Lida right now.
Yeah. I will. I'm just seeing, can I complete the poll is being completed. That's great.
Okay.
And brilliant.
Okay,
yeah. So in terms of, yeah, I'll wait and see, does anyone else come in with other questions? Oh, and I just see my screen has jumped for some reason. Let me just go back to this page. Yeah. So yeah, of course, more than happy. We still have 10 minutes left, so I'm more than happy to hang on and wait and see if there's any other questions. Oh, here we go. So what marketing tools integration does HubSpot have? Yes. So HubSpot as a platform, like I said, we are a CRM growth platform. We offer your full functionality when it comes to marketing, sales, customer service, and CMS. But we also recognize that we can't do everything, in which case what we do and what our, again, this fits in line with our goal of having a single source of truth for a business, or providing a system that is just one system that allows you to manage everything in one place. We do recognize we don't do everything. So we have an app marketplace of native integrations. So if there's something very specific, like if you use a heat map software, for example, for your website, we have specific integrations that would sync with that, or even, for example, a WhatsApp integration or something like that. The integration is native, so it's click and connect, and there's no cost. The cost would be depending on what plan you take with HubSpot, and also the requirement on the tool that you're integrating with. So if you're using, say, WhatsApp in this case, there might be some requirements depending on how many messages you send out. And the other piece we have so on the app marketplace, which again, I'll make sure to include in the follow-up, the app marketplace, we have, I think, over 600 native integrations at this point, which covers really anything from marketing, sales, customer service, ERP, contracts, and so on. We have a whole suite of different products on there, calling tools and so on. But if the integration doesn't exist on our app marketplace, we also have an incredibly flexible open API. So there's always a possibility to create an integration using your technical team, or using one of our HubSpot partners to sync and connect and create a data sync between whatever tool you're looking to do. What I will say is that the key benefits, apart from the fact that it's a single system, it's designed to be a single source of truth, and it's also quite unique in the sense that you've got marketing, automation, stacking and connecting directly into a CRM, which is unique to HubSpot. It's the same idea with the CMS. It connects directly into your CRM system. It's not separate the way WordPress would be. And yeah, so Dennis, you say I'm interested in CRM, email, webinar tools integration to automate your marketing funnel. Yes, absolutely. So we integrate with the likes of a couple of webinar tools, top of mind, Zoom and GoToWebinar, but I think we have a couple of others. So I'll when I share the link to the app marketplace, you can have a look. HubSpot would cover the CRM and the email piece. So you would be looking at the marketing platform to manage that. So you would create an automation of if people sign up to a webinar, they get a follow-up confirmation, they get the invite, they might get some email communication from you in advance or some reminders. And also you would then be able to sync directly. For example, with Zoom, you could sync directly to get a list of people that attended or did not attend your webinar, and base communication to them depending on that behavior. You might change who receives what email after the webinar, or how you tailor the message, for example. So yeah, it's a two-way integration, yes. So yeah. so those kind of things are no problem at all to do and manage through our platform. And yeah, of course, any behavior based. So same idea with HubSpot. The goal is that when you look at the marketing platform, it's managing all of your marketing activities in one place. So when it comes to, yeah, not only webinars, but also behavioral insights of, for example, if you have a portal on your website and you want to track logins as a behavioral event, you could look at triggering actions based on that. So if like say with HubSpot, we offer, so say if we do the free CRM, or if you sign up to the free version just to get a taster of the platform, we can track that and then send you emails depending on your activity. So if you haven't logged in for 30 days, we might send you a reminder. Or if you're in and very active, we might notify the sales team to say, hey, someone's being very active in here. So it goes beyond just actions like opening an email or webinars. We can also look at behavioral events. And when it comes to reporting, yeah, again, if you're looking at marketing activity in general, you want to connect and collect as much behavioral insight, but as much reporting as possible to then be able to identify where in the buyer's journey are we successful, where do we need to work, what part of the funnel is, where are people finding us, and how is the funnel working for us from start to finish. You want that 360-degree view of your lead and customer to be able to then make better decisions and show return on investment from marketing activities. Often that's one of the biggest struggles when it comes to the marketing team, is showing your worth. When I know the marketing team usually does so much amazing work, but it can often be hard to show the data behind that. Again, that's with various reporting functionality within HubSpot, but I'm sure similarly other vendors might offer something. Keep that in mind if you're planning for Q4. How can you find platforms that can give you that kind of asset when it comes to reporting? Not only like email open rates, but also how much sales you're driving for the sales team. So where people are finding you, attribution reporting and multi-touch attribution reporting, for example. Do you have Kate? Yes, absolutely, we do. We have a lot of cases of people moving off Salesforce to HubSpot. We are our own example. We moved off in 2018. So just when I joined, we were using Salesforce. An interesting piece of information is that, we were on that platform. Salesforce was an early investor in HubSpot, and we used them for the first couple of years as the company was getting off the ground. And then we fully transitioned onto our own CRM in 2018, which was a big project. But we continue to do that with customers all the time. So yes, absolutely. We also have an integration with Salesforce that can help with the data migration. But if you were to keep your CRM with Salesforce, for example, you could also integrate. But absolutely, I'd be more than happy to share that insight on a one-to-one, or send that across. We have webinars that kind of speak to customers about how they manage the transition, but it's also something me as an account executive, I would line that up and work through the implementation plan with you well in advance to make sure you're comfortable with how the process would look and how it works. It's usually pretty straightforward. There's a couple of additional questions and nuances just to figure out what kind of instance of Salesforce you have, how customized it is, and so on. But yeah, it's something we're very familiar with.
Okay. Do you have any questions? I saw that Danny is asking a lot of.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you all for your attention. And now we will switch on the questions. Thanks to Lida for the interesting and very valuable presentation. For possibility to receive insights and for possibility to receive insights and most actual information from the digital sales and marketing area. If anyone has any questions, you can write to Softprom mail. You can see it on the presentation slide. Softprom is a partner of HubSpot in the region, and we provide consulting, support, and implementation of HubSpot services. thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Yep, perfect. Thank you, Alex. And yeah, Softprom is a great strategic partner for HubSpot. We have a very close relationship. I work a lot with the guys. So yeah, any questions, I'm usually the one to support. So that's great. And yeah, if there's any other follow-up questions, just email them to that address and I'll pick them up offline. Yeah, perfect.
Great. Okay. Yeah, have a nice day. Have a nice day. Thank you again, Lida, and thank you, participants. Have a nice day to all of you. Thank you.